Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Survivor Now podcast. It's Ollie. I'm taking the reins from Randy for once, and I am here today to talk all things Survivor UK because, as a Brit, that's what I always do. But we've got a great show, and I can't do it alone. And I've got two amazing guests, in my opinion, two icons from the latest season. So please welcome Ren. And also the winner, Matthew.
Hello.
I'm just going to go straight to Ren. Ren, how are you doing?
I'm good. Busy, as ever. It's Pride season, so many an event to attend. But yeah, no, very much, not much has changed in my life. In a very positive way, I mean.
As long as it's positive, that's all that matters. And Matthew, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm brilliant, thank you. I'm doing a lot of travelling. Lots of adventures, so yeah, just trying to keep going with it. So loving life at the minute.
I was going to say, I've seen from your Instagram a couple of the adventures you've been going on, but we'll get on to that. Don't worry, we will talk about that. But obviously, we are here today to talk all things Survivor UK. Both of you were very fortunate enough to be on the latest season, and we're just going to unpack it. We're just going to talk about it as a whole. Luckily, we have one Calaton and one Lenena, so we do have two different stories, at least pre-merge. Mm-hmm. But let's kind of start off about how both of you feel, slightly, not talking about the season, but your reactions. How are you feeling now that you've had kind of some time? I know both of you have kind of mentioned that it's been a year since you've filmed. It's been a year since all of this craziness happened. So overall, how are you feeling about how it all went down? Start with Matt.
Yeah, so looking back at the last 12 months, it's just absolutely crazy. Time absolutely flies, it's so sad. Like, you just want to relive it, you know? But I've been, especially over the last couple of months, because it's been a year since we filmed it, I've been watching a few of the episodes back. I've been laughing, I've been emotional. It's just all the emotions of just kind of what we went through is just something that, like, not many people get to experience it, so I do feel so lucky to have had that experience, and I feel like the more time that goes on, the more I kind of appreciate the opportunity that we had.
Nice, yeah. And Ren, for you, how does it feel watching? Kind of, we spoke privately about all this, but how does it feel watching the season back and having that sense of being able to be on the show?
Honestly, like, being able to be on the show is one of my absolute life goals. Like, everyone, the Olympics is on, in case anyone didn't know that. And everyone's like got their Olympics tattoos. Like, I always said if I got on the show, I'm gonna get a Survivor tattoo, because that's like my once in a lifetime moment that will likely never happen because it wasn't here. And so being able to actually get to go on, like, it was so cool. And especially now it's like up in the air about potential renewals. I feel like even more sort of happy that I like grasped that opportunity and had that opportunity. I feel really lucky.
I was going to say, I'm not jealous at all, but yeah, both of you should be very lucky about it. But let's get into Survivor UK. Obviously, it's been a year. Someone won. Can't remember who it was, but some guy won. About it. But I want to ask a question, and what was your favorite moment from the show that we, the viewers, saw? I'm going to be very specific about that. What we saw, what you're allowed to mention. So we'll start off with Ren. What was a moment that kind of, it's the moment for you? Every time you think of Survivor UK and you think of your season, that's the moment that goes right in there.
I think there's a couple. There's a lot of, it turns out I have a lot of very specific facial expressions that we use. And so there's a couple of moments where, particularly in tribal councils, someone will say something and just my facial expressions are absolutely holding nothing in them. Awful. But I will say one of the ones I thought was really funny was the edit of the fish, and they cut from me going, interesting, to Lawrence, who goes, interesting. Just like such a silly, dorky moment. But I thought that was quite a fun moment. I think also for me that was the first opportunity to actually get to play Survivor, and so that was up there for me for sure.
I was going to say,
no.
I will always remember you as for the fish. We have to.
I think everybody will.
It's an iconic moment. Matthew, what about you?
Yeah, so obviously the winning moment is something that'll just, I can't even describe that feeling, and that'll always sit with me for the rest of my life. But apart from that, I'll have to say the lobster box situation that I ended up getting myself into by complete accident. It was one of them moments where it's like, where it's like fight or flight. Like, I'm laughing about it now, but at the time it was like, it was really making me paranoid. But looking back at that, I wouldn't change that moment, even though as horrible it was it was horrible at the time, but looking back, I wouldn't change it. So yeah, that kind of fight or flight moment, my game could have went up in tatters, or you fight through it. And luckily, I fought through it, and it all worked out in the end.
So what I'm hearing is Fishgate, Claspgate. There was just a lot of those are the moments that stick out. But that's fair, because those are the moments in the show that I think, Ren, you can sympathise with this as a fan. We will remember those moments. So it's good that you both kind of remember them as well. I just want to touch on, and I think, Ren, I'll ask you to speak on this a bit more as well. For me, what I remember is the opening sequence. And I think it's because as fans of the show, and I think a lot of UK fans will kind of relate to, we were waiting for so long for the show to kind of come back, and being able to see that sequence where you guys were just slow-mo, like walking onto the ship, and then you had all all of the camera angles where it's like, what's going on? Who's being all of that? For me, that made me think like, this is Survivor. So like watching it back, I'm going to kind of go to Ren on this. Was that the same feeling? And also kind of being in that moment?
It absolutely was. Like, being in that moment, that was probably one of my most difficult, try and control your emotions moments. Because especially we don't necessarily that sort of starting on a boat and swimming into land as the first challenge is a bit not really common now. And so it was a really sort of throwback, this is OG Survivor, let's filming it. I was borderline about to burst into tears, but also was sort of no, I can't be too happy or too sad because that's going to be weird. But it was so emotional. And then watching it back, absolutely not in any way hidden. Everyone else is and I'm like, it's mortifying. But I fully agree. What a moment.
Yeah, absolute moment. Kind of, Matthew, I'll ask you as well, how did you feel in that moment? Because obviously you hadn't met Joel at that point, but it was kind of, even just watching it, but being there, how was that for you? Because it was the start of the journey.
That was the movie moment. Walking to the boat, I was looking around and I was just thinking, this cannot be real life. How is this my life? And it was just, it was overwhelming. It was exciting. Just literally every emotion. You're kind of looking at these people thinking we're all in this together, but we're not allowed to speak to each other. It was just every emotion was coming through. And I'll give you a little exclusive. When we got on the boat, it was hot. We're filming for a while. Obviously, it takes a long time to the big intro shots and stuff like that. And the executive producer come onto the ship and was like, guys, if you think this is tough now, it's going to get a lot tougher. This is Survivor. And I was like, that's when it hit me. And I was like, oh, I feel like that could either make you really nervous, but it pumped me up. That was right, this is it. It's time. I was buzzing.
I'm glad to hear that the crew themselves, obviously we won't talk too much just because NDAs, I don't want to get in trouble. But the fact that they were able to hype you both up, and just the cast in general, that's what I love to hear as a fan. The fact that they were able to kind of make everyone realize this is a moment we want this to.
They were definitely really serious about, I think, that side of it. The one